are now watching I Shot Him 6 Times YouTube horror movie channel.
I shot him 6 times. Well, what's going on, everybody? Back here again after a short amount of time after doing the Scream 1996 watch party, because now we are doing an impromptu Scream 2 live watch party here in this late night hour. This is going to be a fun time. I have enough gas left in the tank to complete this stream. This was demanded by you guys, and because you guys so much great support to the channel, I am going to do this for you. Now, I will say, I don't know if you guys noticed, I have to go back and recreate the Halloween live stream that I have scheduled for Saturday because I accidentally pressed the wrong stream to go live when I was getting into this one. So now I have to go on YouTube, delete that stream, and then basically recreate it again on StreamYard. But hey, it's all right. It happens. It's late. Can't eat my lunch too much for that. You know what I mean? So just going to have to recreate it and, get it set again for Saturday. But guys, I'm not going to waste too much of y'all time. We are going to get into the movie. I got 7 people here at this late night hour. That's crazy. It's almost 1 o'clock basically here on the East Coast. So you guys' support is truly off the walls. It's amazing. I greatly appreciate it. So just getting some of you guys in the chat before we do start the movie. Paula saying hi. Yep, Paula. This was basically demanded by Paula, and I'm okay with it. I mean, we have a great vibe going. Like I said, I got enough gas in the tank, to make this happen. And I'm not going to lie, after watching Scream 1996, I want to watch Scream 2 here with you guys. And this is the first time on the channel that I have watched Scream 2. So this is definitely going to be a lot of fun. King Matthew saying, hello, I'm only able to be on the stream for a few minutes because it's late where I live and I have to work tomorrow. It was fun being on Scream 1 stream, though. Yeah, absolutely. I understand, King Matthew III. I greatly appreciate you just even stopping in, dropping a like, and, dropping a comment, even for a couple minutes. I greatly appreciate it. And King Matthew also saying, I also think Randy should have survived Scream 2 and died in 3 after finding out that Roman was Sidney's brother. That would have made 3 better, in my opinion. Hey, I'm not in disagreement of that. I get why Randy had to die in Scream 2, to give us, a death of a character that we grew very fond of. But I personally wish Randy would have lived a little bit longer as well. But at least for the most part, we got that tape of Randy in Scream 3, which was a nice touch and a nice homage to the character, to solidify his legacy. It would be interesting to see in Scream 7 if there are potentially more tapes out there, or if Ghostface could kind of recreate, those style of tapes for Randy and use that to their advantage, kind of like what I talked about in my theory video about a week ago. So it's going to be interesting, but I agree. I wish Randy would have lived longer as well. What's up, Val? Val hanging in tough there as always. Great to see you again, Val, of course. Coop, what's going on, Coop? Glad you can make it back in here for the stream as well. The Scandus, man, this is crazy. We got 9 people in the chat right now at 1 o'clock in the morning. To me, that's insane because of how late it is on my end. Chocolate Ice 25, yo, what's up? Wow, we got a nice little turnout here for this late night hour for Scream 2 watch party. That just shows how much power the Scream franchise has over the horror universe. Yo, what's up, DJ? I know you wasn't unfortunately able to watch Scream 1996 with us, but hopefully you can stick around for Scream 2. And if you can, then that makes me even extra happy that I did this stream because, it was really unfortunate you didn't get to watch Scream 1996 with us. Hey, it's all good talking Star Wars. It's all good, Shannon. Shannon saying, I'm here but may fall asleep on the chat. Hey, it's all good. I've done that countless times watching Craven, Night if he was up late, I like Scary, all of our favorites here in the community, so on and so forth. So, hey, it's all good. I understand. Yo, what's up, Tom? Tom's still hanging in tough as well, though. This is crazy. You guys are awesome. You guys are simply phenomenal. Yeah, Shannon is in Canada. That is right. DJ saying, "Who's to say Randy is dead? Remember, Billy was stabbed before he was shot. I mean, it's not impossible. I mean, I think it would delegitimize part two if they were to reveal Randy as alive. And also, if he is alive, like, do you think they would bring him back as Ghostface? I really hope they would. I really hope they wouldn't. And if he is alive and they don't bring him back as Ghostface, it just begs the question, like, where has he been all this time and why, wasn't he, present, so. But definitely possible. Hey, anything is possible after seeing Chad get stabbed, what was it, in the last two films, well over 20, 30 times and still living. So definitely. I agree. See, it's funny. I just said that because Val said the same thing. If Chad can survive DJ, so can Randy. I agree. Scream 5 and 6 with Chad kind of, bent the rules so far in regards to what it takes to kill somebody that you can make a case for Randy for sure. And even Jamie Kennedy was quoted in saying that. He said, like, how many times did these kids get stabbed and lived? My niece and nephew in the last two films, especially my nephew. Like, if he can survive that, then I could definitely survive my stab wound. So, yes, no, I didn't forget, Shannon. I think, I sent it back to you. I sent you a response, saying, oh yeah. Oh, you remember I sent you a message on Instagram earlier in case you forgot, Marcus. No, I didn't. I did send you a message back before I came on here. So Shannon will be on the live panel with me next Thursday for Scream 4 live watch party, which is awesome because, like I've said it before in previous live streams, I owe Shannon a lot. I've been owing Shannon a visit here on the panel for a long, long time. And I'm finally getting to it, and it makes me very, very happy. And there will be more live streams that you will see Shannon on, in the coming future when we're talking about Scream and whatever horror movies that Shannon is willing to come on a live panel and participate in talking about. Yeah, I can send you the link real quick, Dom. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second here. Instagram. And I gotta go into StreamYard. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm gonna send you the link and stuff, Dom, but we're gonna start the movie ahead of time. And then once the movie starts, because I don't want to keep everybody waiting too long, then I'll send you the link, and then I'll bring you in. All right, guys, so we're going to get the movie started a while, and then I'm going to end up sending Dom a link, and he's going to come in and hang out with us here on the live panel. So this is going to be great. Coop saying unrelated to horror, really disappointed the next two Avenger movies were delayed. Yeah, I kind of gave up on like superhero movies and stuff like that, like a little while ago. Like, excuse me. For me, once Batman, The Dark Knight Rises was like, that was finished, I kind of just gave up on like, Avengers and all that stuff. Not to say like I don't like them, I do, but I just feel like the superhero craze over the last decade or so just kind of got watered down for me, But hey, that does suck, especially if you're a fan of Marvel and, the superhero aspect of horror movies and that genre and stuff like that. That does suck because, It's just like with our favorite horror movies. You don't ever want to see them get delayed. All right, guys. So we're going to do a countdown to 5 as usual. And then we're going to start the movie. And then I'm going to send Dom a link to come in and hang out with us on the panel. So let's get the countdown started from 5. And then when I say press play, obviously press play. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, play. Oh, shit. Always love this intro music for Scream 2. I think it's very, very underrated. The song that's playing. It's a nice vibe to start it off. Omar and Jada. Love it. It comes to show, especially like by getting these two to do the opening scene, just how popular Scream had blew up within a year's time. Like every big star wanted to be a part of Scream 2, in my opinion. Like you had Sarah Michelle Gellar, you have obviously Jada Pinkett and Omar Epps here, Laurie Metcalf as Mrs. Loomis. Like the cast in this movie is fantastic. It really is. You have David Arquette's dad playing the sheriff. Like, you know, like very underrated cast in my opinion from top to bottom, if you ask me. Black Eyed Peas. All right. All right. Let me find you here, Dom. Give me 1 second. Oh, shit. And plus, this is where we get introduced to the movie within the movie, the Stab films. All right, I sent it to you, Dom. Oh, shit. All right, there we go. Love that it starts off in the movie theater as well. That's awesome. Perfect way to start the sequel. And everybody, we have a guest coming on the panel. You guys know him. He's no stranger here to the channel. Everybody, welcome Dominic St. Clair to this to the panel. What's up, Dom? Thank you for joining me tonight, man, in this late night hour. Nice to see you, me, and everybody else here in the chat, you know, are very much alive.
Yeah. Oh, it's good to be here, man. I'm glad to spend this late night hour with you guys and you, Marcus. Yeah, man, no problem.
Heck yeah, man. And that's another thing, too, when you think about the movie within the movie, you know, Stab, you got Heather Graham playing Casey Becker, Tori Spelling playing Sydney, Luke Wilson playing Billy, David Schwimmer, I think, as Dewey, if I'm not mistaken. Like, it's just nuts.
Yeah. Well, you know what's interesting, too, is that the way this opening scene is playing out, it's sort of similar, but it's not at the same time to the original opening because apparently, like, the people who wrote this didn't really know, like, the ins and outs of what really happened in that first movie. So it really does question, like, how did some people, like, how did the newer Ghost Races know about the killings, like, in the first movie
Right.
as well? as they do, you know.
Right. Yeah, they had to basically fictionalize it as much as possible for Stab, because, and I always say this is what, you can tell there's a clear difference between Stab and what's actually going on in the Scream events and stuff like that. So, with that being said, it's just, I said this a couple weeks ago and I forget exactly how I paraphrased it. But basically, like in regards to people saying like, oh, they had, certain things in Stab that, is exactly identical to the original events of whatever movie they're covering. That's not actually true, because as you see here in Casey Becker's scene, Ghostface wasn't, on top of her roof. Her house wasn't that big, and that luxurious, you know what I mean, and stuff. So, and plus, Gail even admits this in this movie when talking to Joel, that there's certain parts that aren't true that she fictionalizes to get more of a reaction out of the audience. So, what I mean, there's things that are made up that don't coincide with the actual events and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. I do like they kind of like show like Jada and Omar, and like you think we're gonna follow these characters, you
Right,
know? And it's like, because where's Sydney? Where's she at? And it's like,
right, absolutely. Catching up with some of you guys in the comment section. Yes, Paula saying, I agree. This music intro is awesome and I love the cast. Yes, absolutely. Coop saying, always thought this theater was cool as hell. Wish they make theaters look like this for actual Scream movie premieres. I agree.
yeah.
It looked like very big too. Like it looks bigger than most movie theaters, in my opinion.
Oh yeah.
Oh wow, I never knew this. Tobey Maguire was supposed to be Mickey in this movie at one point, but he rejected it for Spider-Man. I think that was a great idea by him. No disrespect to Tobey, I just can't see him playing Mickey's character. I really can't.
Mm-hmm.
I watched The Big Bang Theory with Laurie Metcalf in it, and I kept screaming, "It's Mrs. Loomis" whenever she's on talking Star Wars. Says, "It's awesome." Coop saying, "Gotta love the guy shouting, kill, kill, kill." Yeah, right.
Kind of reminiscent to Jason's and Friday 13th theme.
Yeah. Yep.
So.
Killer, mommy. Killer. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
King Matthew said, I think Jada Pinkett Smith is the only victim where we all rooted for Ghostface to kill, LOL. And she had an iconic kill. Absolutely, she did. It was really, really good. And Jada absolutely fucking acted her ass off really well in that scene, if you ask me.
Yeah.
I thought she did a fantastic job, especially with selling and kind of prolonging to a degree her, dying and basically like she's in front of the screen and then she slowly drops down and then slumps over. Like I thought she sold that really well.
Yeah,
I agree, Paula. I like Jerry McConnell as well. And that to me is one of the most iconic and brutal kills that doesn't get talked about enough, with Mickey, stabbing Phil Stevens through the bathroom stall. Like, you understand how much force it takes to do that? Like, that's pretty fucking cool and gnarly at the same time.
It's one of those like brutal kills that like it's so shocking, because like you don't expect it.
And I will say this, if you really like listen closely, if you like put your ear to the speaker and stuff, when Mickey is like whispering whatever he's whispering, you can tell it's Mickey. You can hear it in the
man's voice.
Yes, but you can hear it's actually his voice, in my opinion. Like,
mm-hmm.
Talking Star Wars saying Gail wrote the Woodsboro murders. Wouldn't information be in it? Be in it like certain events? Yeah, she likes to alter the actual events.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like when we get to the scene where she's talking to Joel and he said, I read your book about your cameraman and he got gutted. You know what I mean? When he didn't get gutted, Kenny got his throat slashed.
Okay.
And Gail even admits she made that up. You know, just like in Scream 6, you know, she did the book on the reboot, the Requel murders, and she basically said Sam Carpenter was unstable and a born killer and stuff like that. Like, she likes to add in stuff that aren't actually facts to what actually happened in order to sell more copies and make more money.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does. Hey, peeing bros. Yeah, right.
Oh man.
And see, if you really think about it, you know, Scream 2 really kind of like, in terms of like Scream 1, how when they had basically all those pranks going on with everybody like wearing the Ghostface costume, Scream 2 only elevated that fact in regards to having all these people in the theater wear Ghostface costumes to the point where you really don't know which one is going to be a killer.
Right.
Excuse me.
Yeah, like it's a perfect cover up to like just everyone's like cheering and like because they're so engaged in the movie that they're not noticing that there's someone getting killed right in front of them.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually a pretty terrible way to go.
Oh, hell yeah. Like, you know what I mean? Nobody notices that you're being fucking stabbed to death in a room full of fucking people watching a movie. And what I admire about that last stab is it kind of plays into what Mrs. Loomis asked Randy on the phone. Have you ever felt a knife scrape between have you ever felt a knife cut through human flesh and scrape the bone beneath? Like the way Mickey dug the knife and kind of like pulled back at the end, it kind of looked like he was doing that.
Yeah.
She sold the shit out of that. Like she did. This awesome opening. A great opening to, I don't want to say rival or be better than the first, but for a sequel, that's a hell of a way to open the movie and to be different while doing so as well. To me, you can put it right up there with the original opening. I think the original opening is slightly more iconic because of who it was and what we were witnessing for the first time in this franchise. But Scream 2's, you know, opening is really, really, really good.
Yeah.
Agreed, Coop. And plus, I love the new look for Sydney in this movie.
It's actually a look that I think kind of carries over to Scream 3 a little bit.
Mm-hmm. And of course, you know, caller IDs. You know, this is when caller IDs started to become a big thing, which really made sense, especially for her character, for what she went through in the first movie.
Yeah, I think Scream did kind of was the sponsor for like the caller ID type of thing where it was like, hey, you know, we got to make sure that we know who these people are when they call us.
Right. And I like when she calls out Corey Gillis. He's just like, shit. Like he was going to get caught.
Oh, did you see that sweater?
In the closet?
Yeah, it's kind of reminiscent of Freddy Krueger.
Yeah, it kind of does. It's just, you know, red and blue. That's
Yeah,
neat.
blue.
I didn't really catch that before. Good catch.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't notice that either.
Shannon saying apparently Alicia Silverstone and Liv Tyler were supposed to be the opening kill. Ooh. I think they got it right with Jada and Omar.
Yeah.
Nothing against those two great women, you know, great actresses. I can't see them. I can't see them in that. I just can't. I think we should have Ghostface dressed like this more often. Ghostface in a leather jacket looks sick. Man, that would be pretty cool. You know, maybe do it as another one-off type of deal, like they did in here. It does
And it
give
kind of,
Ghostface a really cool look.
hmm and it also too, it kind of like they kind of do the little trope of like horror films where like black people die first and shit like that.
Yeah, they do.
They do that, and because
They
like,
do.
cause like I'm like looking at certain horror films, like no, that's not true. Like there's like they usually last towards like the end or like towards the final act or whatever, and then they
Right.
get killed off, or some survive. You know, the guys
Right,
from nine
Joel.
nine. Yep.
So they kind of played into both aspects with this movie.
Yeah, that's
And
true.
here we
Joel's
go.
a survivor. Yeah.
Film study is directly responsible.
This is a good combo though. Like it's like understanding like is art really what dictates our actions?
Right. Dude, who want to do that? Sequels suck.
Sequels suck.
Hey,
See,
Dom, do me a
Randy,
favor. Can you turn that down a little bit because I can hear some feedback?
on my end.
Yes.
Okay.
And just to think, Randy was actually wrong in that dialogue. Joshua Jackson had it right. And it was so funny because Jamie Kennedy talked about that on his podcast when going back and revisiting his role in Scream 2. Some fan pointed that out that Joshua Jackson was actually right. And the guy who's playing the film teacher, he's a comedian. So Jamie brought it to his attention and he's like, holy shit, I was the film professor in that movie. So I guess I'm fucking stupid or something too, or whatever. Like, it was funny as hell how they owned up to them not being right and Randy not being right.
And I think this is the decision that ultimately gets him killed because he gets it wrong in front of Mickey.
No, what did you say again, Dom? Say that again.
Saying this is what ultimately gets him killed because he gets it wrong in front of Mickey in the film's class.
That makes a great point. Yeah. And plus, of course, him losing his virginity to Karen Kolchak didn't help either.
Yeah.
You know? King Matthew saying, I'm just curious as to why the dude stick his ear to the bathroom stall. That's just weird and gross. Oh, because he wanted to hear what Mickey was saying because Mickey kept whispering something, so it made him curious. And Derek was a good character, man. He really was. I agree, Coop. DJ saying, so was Stu an extra in this movie and was he visible in this movie? Yes, he is slightly visible if you look close enough. When we get to the frat party, I'll let you know. But yes, Matthew was an extra in this movie because he came to visit Nev on the set of Scream 2 because they were dating at the time. And Wes had asked him, hey, you want to be a background extra since you're here? Which is really cool. But again, in regards to playing into Stu being alive and possibly having a hand in all of the murders that took place since Scream 1996, which includes Scream 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, in order for him to be in Scream 2 officially, they could definitely make it seem like this was Stu watching Sydney from afar at the frat party. He just was unrecognizable because he had blonde hair. And his hair was longer. So here goes Mrs. Loomis, Debbie Salt.
She played a really good part in this, man.
Absolutely. To me, she was one of the most surprising, unpredictable killers. I did not see her coming at all. Just like Mickey said, you didn't see it coming. I didn't think she was a killer.
That's what the newer Scream movies do kind of wrong. It's like you know who the killer is
Yes, they make it too
by the end.
fucking predictable.
Hmm.
Chocolate Ice saying, I hope Jill comes back in Scream 7 and teams up with Stu and Angelina. Hey, I wouldn't be opposed so much to Angelina returning, but really, I'm starting to think that it was Stu who helped Roman in Scream 3. And even if Angelina was involved, I feel like Stu basically got rid of her. I will say this in regards to Angelina. I personally think it would have made way more sense for them to have Jennifer Jolie be Roman's accomplice because they had a relationship together. You know what I mean? Like they were involved with each other. You know what I mean? And it would be a nice little way to subtly, subliminally play into the idea of Gail Weathers becoming Ghostface, you know?
Absolutely.
Coop saying, what do you think Stab is called in the Stab movies? Or do you mean like Scream? I mean, I don't know. Like, what do you think Stab is called in the Stab movies? Like, you mean like how they refer to, I guess, their universe? I would assume just Stab universe, honestly. Uh-huh. The Delta Landas. Hey, look, it's Brenda Bates. This is before she moved on to Pendleton and
That's
became a crazy
crazy.
psychotic killer.
That'd be crazy if it's like and they're in the same universe. Like that's
Yeah,
actually Brenda
right?
Bates.
That would be nuts.
That's what I'm saying, man. They definitely should connect all the late '90s slashers into a universe.
I wouldn't be opposed to it if they figured out a way to make it all make sense.
Yeah. Kevin Bacon way.
It was Dewey. That's when we hear Dewey's theme for the first time.
Oh man.
My boy Dewey.
He was such a good person. He
Yeah,
just
man. Well, if you're thinking like me these days, Dom, he still is a good person, and I'm just going to leave it at that.
okay.
I think, yeah, he still is a good person, buddy. I don't know, man. I think I might be on to something.
Never know, man.
Coop saying I'm going to be real, not a big fan of this scene. Which scene are you talking about, Coop? I'm a little bit behind in the chat. I think you were talking about the film scenes, the film study scene. DJ saying they do the Columbo rule show the killer first, then have the cops ask questions to the suspects who may be involved. Interesting. Paul is saying would love to see Sister Lois and Murphy back. That would be nuts if like secretly over the years Sydney did like kind of maintain a okay relationship with them to where, you know, they became pretty tight, I guess. It would be a friendship nobody would expect for sure.
Yo, Key Matthew has the actual good point.
Coop saying, nah, I mean, like since the Stab movies have a part in some of the murders, what do you think they call Stab movies inside of the Stab universe? Because they wouldn't have Stab inside of their world. That's a great question. I honestly don't know. I really don't know what they would call it. I can't answer that. I don't know. You know.
And you see Mickey recording with the camera.
Yep.
You see him
Which,
waving around.
yep. Which you still don't even really notice, you know, when we get to the scene with Gail and Dewey in the film theater. When you still don't even notice or think to pick up on the fact that Mickey was recording with a camera. You don't. They did a good job of, you know, kind of, you know, leaving certain aspects of that whole thing ambiguous, because I didn't still pick up on the fact that it was Mickey and the fact that he was recording earlier in the movie.
Yeah.
Oh, here goes Cotton. He's another character that should have lived a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Slapped the shit out of her. 2 for 2, baby. 2 for 2. That's one thing Sydney never missed.
You got that on film? Yes, I got that on film.
Yep.
Sydney is a good. She's good. She's not just a good puncher. She, you like you said, she never misses, especially with guns too.
Yeah, she does not miss. I must say, like, to me, Scream 1 and Scream 2 was the best looking version we've had of Gale in the entire franchise, in my opinion.
Yeah.
King Matthew saying, I also got a theory that Stu was talking to Sydney on the phone at the party because the killer says the line, "Did you miss me, Sydney?" That had to be Stu. It would make more sense. I agree that it could be Stu. They could try to play into it that, oh, it's just Ghostface asking Sydney, did you miss Ghostface, you know, being, you know, involved in your life and being a part of your world. But I definitely do think it was Stu, you know.
Because they explained
5 Stu was definitely present. We just didn't obviously see him.
Because they would explain too how the Ghostface was able to like be there to attack Sydney right there after she just hangs up the phone.
Right.
Because after she hangs up the phone and says, "Come get me, you whatever," and then he's like, "My pleasure," and then just fucking, he's like, "Oh shit," and then she charges at her like he's like right there, and it's like, well, where's this phone
Right,
at?
yeah, I know what you're talking about. Like when she's basically like on board and she starts to shoot, and you hear the killer say, "Wait!" And then Richie's in the closet. But if Ghostface is on the phone, you see Amber pop out in the closet right next to her. So it's like she would have heard that. You know what I mean? Like, especially when they scream, "Wait!" She would have heard that.
Yeah.
I also got a theory that okay, so so I did touch on that. Yep. And King Matthew asking, are you going to do a watch party for Scream 3 as well? We'll see here. It's not that I don't want to do it. I kind of want to hold off maybe on Scream 3 watch party for maybe a later date, because maybe after we get the Scream 7 official trailer, because I personally want to kind of rewatch Scream 3 with a lens that it could play a key role into what we see in Scream 7. You know, because I genuinely believe that Stu was helping Roman in that film. I'm convinced now more than I've ever been. Yeah, I am going to listen to that, Shannon, because I heard this in Sister Pam's live chat. Somebody brought this up. I don't know if it was you or if it was somebody else, but I've seen something like this recently. And this scene is on now, so I'm going to pay attention.
Yeah, I don't think there's been a bad Scream film so far in terms of like what's worse in terms of the franchise.
Right.
Because I seen
They're
it
all
from
watchable films. They're all watchable sequels, you know, after the first one. Some are better than others, but there's not really a bad Scream movie. That's just my opinion.
yeah. Like Scream 3 is enjoyable to watch, you know.
Right.
Uh-oh. Just getting a call.
Hold on. I'm actually going to kind of rewind it to what she, on my end, to what she's talking about in the conversation with her friend. No, see, no, she didn't say Wayne. She said she found out that Bailey dumped Gwen like 2 episodes ago. So it was Gwen, not Wayne. Whatever show they were talking about. All right. I fast forwarded to where I should be. He just basically asked Cece if she wants to die.
Do you want to die tonight, Cece? Yeah, Ghostface always has the great lines.
Yes. And I like the whole dialogue between them two. Like, why do you always answer a question with a question? I'm inquisitive. Yeah, and I'm impatient. But yeah, just as a recap and a reminder, when she's talking about Bailey, she doesn't say Wayne. She says Gwen. So I can see why some people would think she said Wayne Bailey, because it kind of does sound like she says Wayne, but she doesn't. DJ asking, do you wish Cotton Weary made his debut in the first Scream? I think the way he made his debut was great for the story because, he was the frame job. He was the one that, Billy and Stu framed to go down for Marine's murder. So us getting introduced to him officially and him officially debuting in Scream 2 after he was exonerated made a lot more sense, in my opinion.
I agree. Yeah.
I remember some people thought this could be Christina Carpenter here as well, Donnie, or whatever her name is.
Mm-hmm.
Like Christina followed Sydney to school and took up a fake name and stuff like that. Smooth way to get in there. Oh, I love this part.
Oh, dude.
I love the dialogue. Hello, Ted. You wish it was Ted. Don't forget to set the alarm. I love it.
Ghostface is a trickster.
Yeah, absolutely. Very, very clever. Very, very clever.
Like that's what's scary about these movies is that the killer's smart. Like it's not like Jason where like Jason can pick up the phone and trick you into thinking it's someone else, you know?
Right. Just like Michael, too,
Yeah.
Which I love Michael. He's my favorite. But, there's certain aspects to Ghostface. See, that's the good thing about Ghostface actually being a human being as a killer just underneath a costume and a mask. You can add more layers. You know what I mean? So, DJ saying, I guess you're referring to Cotton maybe being placed at the end of Scream 1. Just so we can see him debut even more than what we did in that movie. Not necessarily. I still feel like this was the right time to bring Cotton in fully, especially with the way that they layered him out as a red herring in this movie. Though he was innocent of Marine's murder, they still did a great job of making him suspicious because you would think that he would be a killer because he would want revenge on Sydney for putting him away and for, basically almost getting him the gas chamber in so many words.
Yeah.
Woo!
I like how he. I like how when they swing, they always duck under the swing
Mhm.
because it's like
Love the score. Love the score. I, Scream scores with Marco Beltrami to me is the best along with Jason's. And it's not saying that Halloween score isn't up there because it definitely is. But to me, in regards to feeling like I am genuinely being chased, Scream and Friday the 13th really make you feel like you're being chased. Their scores.
yeah. Never said I was innocent.
Yep, another great soundtrack too.
I like that.
Okay, so we are at the scene. Or did we already? No, we're approaching the scene where Matthew's about to come on. So if you guys are watching, look behind Randy. The blonde hair guy behind Randy who's coming onto the scene in the blue
I
flannel. It's
I
very
see him.
brief. That's Matthew.
I saw
Schumacher,
him.
possibly, with blonde hair, operating under a new identity. That hurts. See, I liked Mickey as a killer, but I actually wanted him to be a final guy with Randy, especially if Randy lived, because them two had such great chemistry together in regards to the rules of how movies work, not just horror movies, but just movies in general. And I just felt like that would have been a nice duo. Kind of like Lee Winnell's character and the other guy in Insidious.
Yeah.
Paul is saying I saw him. Yeah. Like it's very brief, but yep, you see him. That's Matthew. I agree, King Matthew, saying I could be wrong, but I think Cece had to die in this film because Sarah Michelle Gellar was too busy filming I Know What You Did Last Summer and Buffy. Yeah, I agree. And plus, let's really be honest, Cece Cooper, she really she didn't have that much of a significance, in my opinion, in regards to being a character. Sarah Michelle Gellar was another big name at the time, who they got to come on board for the project that could be killed off,
Yeah, I think they added her to the body count of this
Yeah.
film. Because this is the same year as she did I Know What You Did Last Summer and Buffy Vampire Slayer. She did all three.
And I love how Dewey torments Gale in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Better hurry, Gale. Might get spooked. Dewey just had this kind of, it's so much animosity towards Gale because of what she wrote about him in her book that it even though in my opinion, Dewey's not going to be a killer, he comes off as very suspicious.
Yeah, no, I agree with you.
DJ saying this has a Ted Bundy feel. Paula saying I love seeing him with a bigger role. Are you talking about Cotton, Paula? Let me know. Or are you talking about Matthew? DJ saying wow. So DJ, are you saying wow to Matthew being in the background like you never saw that? Let me know. Here we go. Sydney gets the first real phone call from Ghostface for the first time in this movie.
And apparently the boyfriend was supposed to be one of the killers in this one.
Yeah, Derek. Derek and
Yeah.
Allie, her roommate, was supposed to be the killers, but they changed it, which I
Because
think
it
was
got leaked.
smart. Yeah, but it was smart in my opinion because if they would have went with Derek, the boyfriend, again as a killer, I think that really would have kind of hurt this movie, in my opinion.
Yeah.
because it would easily become repetitive. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I will say this: whether it's Mickey, Chase, and Sydney, or Mrs. Loomis, they're fucking doppy as a son of a bitch. Like them motherfuckers, they can't keep their balance.
No.
They can't walk. They can't see, where they're going. They're tripping over furniture and shit.
Maybe because they're wearing the costume and it's like not as normal to wear it to go
Well,
after somebody wearing
it
the
is
costume.
hard to see out of the mask, according to the stunt coordinators who, are the ones underneath it, and according to some of the, actors who play the killers that have worn the costume. Like they say, you cannot see anything, really, and stuff. So that could contribute to why sometimes Ghostface is so clumsy, and stuff like that. But then there's moments where you see Ghostface, even with the same, hard time seeing, not be as clumsy. So I think that's why some fans pinpoint that out in regards to their killers.
Yeah. The way that Sydney just stares
Mm-hmm.
and has that face is like saying like, "Oh shit!" Like
See, that's what I love about Nev, because her facial expressions have always captured the feel of someone who is going through tragedy. You know what I mean? Like her theme song and her facial expressions fit in perfectly with what this character is. Her life is built on tragedy because of her mother, because of these people who keep coming at, wearing the Ghostface costume, keeping the legacy going. Her life is simply tragic.
Yeah. I gotta say, like, what's this actor's name again? The guy,
Timothy Oliphant.
he plays a good villain.
Oh, he does. I
He
just like
seemed,
him more as just like the friend, I guess. I don't know. I do
I
like
mean,
how he kind of throws shade on Derek, to kind of make him look like, really suspicious. Like, why would anybody going back in that house anyway? Like, that was slick, to cast doubt with Sydney in regards to him, being a killer, in regards to Derek being a killer.
yeah, because he's played a villain in Live Free or Die Hard.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
So I
With
thought,
the movie.
yeah, I thought he played good villains. You know, when he got
Oh,
the
yeah,
chance.
he definitely does.
Mhm. I guess you were too late.
Right after he disappeared. Yeah, it was. Fucking dude. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, it was.
Dude, to me, this is the most like crankiest and shadiest I feel we've ever seen Dewey. And this is when we start getting the tie-ins to Woodsboro with the names and stuff on the blackboard by the
Yeah.
sheriff, aka David's dad. Oh, I didn't know that. That, you know what? Actually, no, I do remember that. God, I remember having the VHS for Scream 2 that came with the special behind the scenes featurette. And I remember them showing Cotton, Liev, bringing his actual dog on set and then putting him in the movie. I remember that. So, yes, Paula, you're right about that.
I didn't know that. That's cool.
DJ saying, were David and Courtney still married? I never saw Stu the first time I watched this. They were married during this. I want to say they were together. They didn't get married until 1999, which was basically Scream 3. And yeah, DJ saying he never saw Stu. He never saw Stu the first time he watched this. Yeah, it's very hard. It's very hard to see him, so it's very easy to miss. But yep, yeah, Matthew was there. And if you want to say Stu was there, if they decide to play into that in Scream 7, you could. It's right there. It's an easy transition. No, it wasn't a short marriage. They were married for like 13, 14 years. They got married in 2019 and divorced in 2019. Good Lord. They got married in 1999. They started dating on the set of Scream 1991. Then they got married in 99 and then they got divorced in 2013. So they were married for about 14 years and they were together for about 17 years. Damn, I ain't gonna lie. Like, Gail did look fire as fuck with those red streaks in her hair like that.
Yeah, and she looked like by Scream 3, she looked way different. And she looked way older.
Yeah, I nothing against Courtney. I think that's when she started, dabbling into the surgery a little bit. Because you could definitely see the surgery, in Scream 5 and in Scream 6.
Yeah. Debbie. It's possible the killer can be from Woodsboro.
Right? That's all.
That's all.
Now think about that. And I never really thought about it like this when I watched this movie, even after the first time. But think about Mickey trying to implicate Randy, and then Randy calls Mickey being the killer.
Yeah.
That's interesting, if you ask me.
That's the thing, man. Randy was very important, man, to this franchise because he was the one that will call it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he knows what a killer is, and he knows who it can be.
Mm-hmm. So I decided to myself. I had it to myself. I ain't gonna lie, this is my shit. Top Gun.
Top Gun.
19. And in my opinion, this is exactly why you couldn't have Derek be the killer, because you could just tell he genuinely loved Sydney. Like, you could tell that. You didn't see fucking Billy doing anything like this.
No.
Billy was just trying to, Billy was trying to get some cutty, get some yams. That's all he was worried about. Derek genuinely had love for Sydney to the point where he's willing to sing in front of everybody in the college and express his love for her, along with giving her his Greek letters, which was a no-no.
The brothers will whoop his ass.
Yeah, but it's tradition.
It's tradition. Yeah, man, yeah. It's true though. Like, Billy didn't really care much about Sydney in the first place.
I think he did initially, but once he found out about Maureen and what happened, I think that just mentally broke him to where, and then on top of that, the fact that Sydney basically wasn't giving him what he wanted, in regards to, sexual activity, I think that just further amplified it for him and basically, solidified him going down that dark road.
Yeah. Yeah, because Derek is not really looking for any action. He actually genuinely loves her.
DJ asking, do you think Billy's mother was also funding Stu as well as with the second killer? See, that's the thing. I don't think she would have to fund Stu. His family had money, so I don't think she would have to fund for Stu or whatever. I personally think that if Stu is connected to Scream 2, that he reached out to Mrs. Loomis and basically gave her the same blueprint as Roman gave Billy. Find yourself a partner. That way you can find someone to sell out so it's easy to frame, something of that nature. That's what I think. If Stu is going to be linked to Scream 2.
It's a good question. Like, do you think Billy was going to sell Stu out?
I personally think that when you look at the way he was stabbing Stu, which is what caused Stu to stab him the same way back by cutting deep, you know what I mean? Like, I think eventually Billy would have probably turned on Stu. I really do.
Mm-hmm. Stupid.
More blood, more gore. Carnage Candy. Your core audience just suspects it. Oh, look at the suspects. Every
God, I
major
miss
needs
him.
artery. That's but he's a suspect, so am I.
Tino's film student. Mickey, the freaky Tarantino film student. If he's the suspect, then so am I.
See, what's interesting though is even though Brandy called Mickey being a killer, he almost as quickly backs out and says, if Mickey is considered a suspect, then I'm considered a suspect. So if you're somebody who believes that Randy could have faked his death and been a part of the murders and will be revealed alive as Ghostface, there you go right there, if you ask me.
That would be a crazy twist.
That would be fucking insane.
And he was behind it all along.
You talk about rewriting the rules.
Yep.
Gail's a lot of things, but Gail's no killer just because you're sweet on her. I love it. Champagne. Oh man.
But I do miss Randy because of this scenes like this,
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely miss Randy too. Because he was just so smart, so knowledgeable, and he was just entertaining too. He's a great character.
Yeah.
And Jamie Kennedy is genuinely funny even when he's not trying to be.
Yeah.
DJ asking, did Mickey have any brothers or sisters? We don't know. It's possible. DJ saying, still wish Randy got Sydney. I agree. I do too. I really do. I wish the geek would have got the girl. I will say it would have been interesting if they would have elaborated on that scene from Scream 4 between Dewey and Sydney. I always thought that was interesting because there seemed to be they had a little moment there, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Paula saying Mickey the ultimate hype man. Yeah, absolutely. DJ saying watch Mickey could have been Billy's brother or cousin. If he was Billy's brother, especially if it was, if Mrs. Loomis was his mom, I wouldn't see her basically turning her back on another son, especially like being that she lost the one that she's trying to avenge. Now, and if he is a cousin or something, maybe she'd feel the need to sacrifice him because of how batshit crazy he was. I just think it's a lot better to keep it as it was, as she found him on a serial killer's website, paid for his college tuition, and had him be her partner, her lackey.
Oh, yeah.
Scream 7 theory, have Stu's father and mother show up sometime in Scream 7 or Scream 8. I honestly don't think you need them, in all honesty. And I'm actually begging to question, are they even alive? We don't know, in all honesty, if Stu could have killed his parents or not before the events of the party of 96. Yeah, we see that they wrote on the board and that they missed his birthday, but for all we know, Stu could have killed his parents. We don't know. We have no idea. I mean, yeah. I personally, I don't want to say I'm against it. I just don't see no purpose for them to show up. I just don't. Paula saying, I've always wondered what would have happened if her and Dewey had gotten together. Yeah, especially that scene in Scream 4 makes you wonder. It really does.
Yeah, I think there was something there that Wes intended to happen. And since, Wes passed away and all that, and they made the other Scream movies, they didn't capitalize on it, or they didn't go for it.
Right. I also just think, too, they couldn't pull the trigger because of Gale. It just, that would have probably got a little weird unless they would have killed Gale off, and they didn't. So I love this scene here where Sydney starts to have hallucinations while she's, playing her role in the theater. And the reason why I love it is because, like I've mentioned before, it shows that Sydney mirrors her mother, Maureen. She wants to be an actress, Like, there's certain things about Sydney throughout the franchise where you see Maureen coming out of her in a way.
Yeah. That's why I'm hoping, like, by Scream 8, like, we wrap up, like, Sydney's story and all that, so we can move on to another story, maybe back to the Carpenter sisters or whatever, and follow them, and because I feel like her story should be wrapped in a bow, like a nice tight bow.
I agree. I don't know. I don't think we're going to get the Carpenters back at all, if anytime soon. I could see Scream 7 and 8 focusing entirely on Sydney. And then in Scream 9, she does come back, but she's more of a background character, and her daughter, Tatum, could be the main focus.
Yeah.
BJ saying, would have a kid own his own house. What do you mean? Like, you're talking about Stu, like maybe having a kid? Hey, it's not impossible. I'll say this: if that is what you're saying, DJ, think about this. We all think Anna Camp is going to be Leslie Mocker, right? But what if Anna Camp is a mocker, but she's not Leslie. She's Stu's wife. And Asa Germain, her son, is Stu's son. I mean, it's possible. You know what I mean? Like, it's very, very possible.
Oh yeah.
What if Stu, after being gone for so many years, like, I want to say gone, but kind of being in hiding and, plotting all this for so many years, along the way, he found himself a little honey who was down with the murder game with him. It's not impossible to think, think about it like Bonnie and Clyde. Like he could have found somebody, that was interested in killing, kind of like Chucky found Tiffany in a way.
Oh yeah.
So, and I've said this before, I think Asa Germain looks like a young Matthew Lillard in certain instances. When you look up certain pictures with certain hairstyles, you could see it. So, hey, it's very possible.
Yeah.
Man, you fucking feel bad for Derek, man, because this is like he's being punished because, of what Billy did to Sydney and because of these new Ghostface murders, and she can't trust him because her previous boyfriend turned out to be a killer. It's fucked up, man.
Oh yeah.
Oh, and here we go. And then, of course, the agent calling Gail saying that Bob needs to talk to her, referred to Bob Weinstein. Hey, bro, it's not impossible. Think about it like this. We knew Stu had psychotic tendencies in Scream 1996 by looking at the attic that Sydney was running through before she crawled out of the window. You see dolls hanging, all that stuff. So it's not impossible to think that Stu could have killed his own parents. It really isn't. Especially if he feels like they weren't there for him, if he feels neglected by them, so on and so forth. So, and think about this, killing his parents, especially if Leslie, is going to be in this movie and is going to be helping him, killing their parents or whatnot, I'm sure they would get a substantial amount of money in life insurance. Even if Stu is like his death is undetermined or whatever, if Leslie inherits that money and is working with Stu, I mean, they could use that money, obviously for him to live through the years. If they're going to be going with this AI, angle in the new Scream 7 movie, I mean, they got to fund the computers and the software somehow, right? So it's not impossible to think that Stu killed his parents, and how he's been able to live for so many years financially is off of their life insurance. Yeah, something like that. Something like that to a degree. But hey, again, I mean, I could be completely wrong. Maybe Stu didn't kill his parents, We will find out when we get there. Or we might not find out at all. Why are you even here, Randy? You'll never be the leading man. Fuck you. Whoa, I just thought about something. I mean, it could have been Mickey to tell Mrs. Loomis, about Randy's desire to be with Sydney or to, let the geek get the girl. But think about who knew about Randy's love and obsession for Sydney. It was Stu, because he was the one who Randy told Stu about that.
That's true.
So if you wanted to say that Stu was helping Mickey and Mrs. Loomis, here you go right here in that dialogue, you know what I mean, on that phone call. Even though Mrs. Loomis may have been the one to kill Randy, the one on the phone might have been Stu. Because think about it. Even if Randy says, let the geek get the girl, I mean, you could easily say that's him implying, Sydney is the girl, but he never, in front of Mickey, said that Sydney was the girl. He only said that in front of Stu.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So, man, when you go back and rewatch these movies, you just, come up with ideas on the fly on how they can link Stu to all of these movies.
Yeah.
Man, this shit is sad, man. Fucking Randy died, man. That's bullshit. I will say this, though. When you see Ghostface walking away from the van, when you look at the shoes, you could tell it's a female because of the heel, the ridge in the shoe. That's not a
Yeah.
man's shoe.
Yeah, I didn't know that. It's interesting.
DJ saying that would be a great plot twist, with a little bit of reality, like Craven did in Nightmare on Elm Street. Yeah, absolutely. Beck Sanders saying R.I.P. Randy. Yeah, definitely, man. Like I miss Randy, man. I really hope we get an AI version of Randy in Scream 7, even if it's not Ghostface operating. You know what I mean? Like as Randy through AI form, maybe there are more tapes of Randy. You know what I mean? Maybe there are more tapes of Randy that he made during these events that he made for future killing sprees. You know what I mean? That just in case, if it didn't stop at a trilogy and it kept going, he made tapes for each, installment of the franchise, so to speak. That would be fucking cool.
Yeah, that would be cool. And it makes sense too because it's like he's kind of like John Kramer. Like he planned out this whole like plan to like warn people about future events that are about to come. Whereas like John Kramer, he had a plan after plan after plan after his death. You know.
Right. DJ saying, and in the behind the scenes, hold on. Okay, yeah. And in the behind the scenes, Randy, Stu hardly talked with each other. I mean, I just feel like, you know what I mean? Like, especially in regards to like that dialogue I was just talking about, like, that's all you like. Randy told Stu how he felt about Sydney. So there was definitely some dialogue between the two that Stu could have used against him, and stuff like that. So now, if you're talking about like Randy being a killer, then I mean, I don't know. You know what I mean? I would like to think that even behind the scenes, if Randy was a killer and stuff like that, him and Stu would definitely have a lot more interaction. I agree, Paula. And see, but this is what I love about Cotton's dialogue in this scene, because in so many ways he makes an excellent point that, in my opinion, Scream 7 in a way kind of needs to change a little bit in regards to Sydney. Like, she's always the lovable and fucked up victim, everybody's favorite little victim. And I feel like you cannot have her be the exact same way that she has always been. You have to do something different to a degree, to at least a light extent with the character. Otherwise, it's just going to be the same old staleness, in my opinion.
Yeah, you gotta do something different,
Right.
and it's gotta be unique in a way where it's like people can buy it. You know?
Yes. Like I'm saying, like, you can have Sydney be Sydney, but also kind of have her be different to the point where the audience is like, you know what? I see this as a different side and version of Sydney, but it's understandable why she's behaving this way. And hence, kind of making her like Jamie Lee Curtis in Halloween H2O with Tatum, how Laurie was with John Tate, the overbearing parent who would not let their child breathe, not let their child grow up, not let their child have a mind of their own, try to control the narrative with everything, so on and so forth. Standing over a body with a knife in my hand, you know, just even that dialogue from Cotton is just fantastic. So until you see me standing over a dead body with a knife in my hand, I think you should treat me with the rights and of every citizen, with the respect and the rights of every citizen in this country, or whatever, how he said it. Like, he just delivered it so well.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Because you got to feel for the guy. Like, you know, he's tired of fucking being accused of shit he's not doing. You know what I mean? Like, so it's only fitting that he's, you know, he's getting, you know, excessive with the way he approaches being accused, like being wrongly accused. My boy's had enough of this shit.
That's why you said, like, I'm not Billy Loomis. You killed him, remember?
Yeah.
You know, so it's
And
like,
just like he told Gail, you were so instrumental in my freedom. You're not having doubts about me now, are you? Like, absolutely, Paula. Definitely one of the best moments. My boy wanted his 15 minutes of fame the right way, not the wrong way.
oh yeah.
So, guys, if you're wondering why I'm not on camera right now, I am charging the phone up because it is getting a little low. So, I am going to be off camera for at least 15 to 20 minutes just so I can let the phone charge up. And then once it is charged up reasonably, I will be back on camera. Being Joel was smart. He was, listen, man, I done seen enough. I'm getting the fuck up out of here.
See ya. Don't want to be ya.
Yep.
You need to have a head examined, man. Yeah, he was the smartest character in this whole franchise, especially in this movie, because
Right.
like if he stuck around, he would have been next.
That's right, Paula. Yep. Paul is in agreement with you, Dom. Joel is the smartest guy in this movie. Facts. But one thing I do want to touch on real quick is, this is one of the rare moments in the franchise where you really see Gail have humility, and I think this is why, she has had such longevity within the franchise, because as much fucked up shit as she's done by creating these books and continuing the Ghostface legacy by continuing writing these books and doing stab movies and trying to, basically make money off of it and, profit for pain, so to speak. There are these moments where you actually see the humility in the character, which is why I think a lot of fans like that about Gail. Like, one moment you can see the humility that she's a genuine person, but then she goes and switches back that other switch and decides to keep the Ghostface legacy alive by continuing to do what she does, by writing books and creating movies and profiting for pain and stuff. Like, she's a double-edged sword.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's very complicated, in terms of like she's doing good in one part of her, of her life and stuff, and then
Yes.
she's doing something bad in her part of her life, which is profiting and exploiting the things that happen to her and Sydney and Dewey,
Right.
So it's like you said, it's a double-edged sword, pretty much.
I will say this too: that fucking score when they're going into the theater is fucking phenomenal. Like, it's because it's not like the typical Scream score. It sounds like a true like murder mystery type of score, and I think that is such a nice touch. Like, especially when you see the birds flying off the building and stuff like that. Like, that shit is just, it's really harrowing. I love that score in that moment.
Yeah. Dewey theme.
Things he can forgive me for saying mediocre writer. She's got a cold storage shed where her heart should be. No pun intended. You had every right to be rude, though, Dewey, because she shitted on you in her book, and that was wrong.
Yep. But no, Dewey's a nice guy, remember?
Yeah, man, like. Yep. This is where we see Mickey's footage. See, it also shows that Mickey wasn't the only one recording, though. Mrs. Loomis was also recording because, she was recording Randy from the van.
Yeah.
I personally think that it was DJ, to respond to DJ's question. I think that it would be Mrs. Loomis because she was closest to the theater when Gail runs outside after seeing Cotton. And if you recall, Mickey was the one who was chasing Sydney and Hallie when he basically killed the police officers and hijacked the car.
Don't forget too, he had a bruise on his head.
Yeah, from the car accident. Yep.
Yeah.
From the car accident. Yep. That part. Yep.
Oh, I love this scene.
Yes. Oh, easily one of. You can argue that this is the best chase scene in the entire franchise, in my opinion. Like, I know Scream 6 won an award with Gail's scene, but to me, this was way better, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's just so intense. Like, and it's not like closed out to just kind of like one area. She has to go through multiple areas to get away. And it's just really, really cool how they did it.
Yeah. Because, like, she's getting chased, but, like, she's also, like, hiding
Yes.
as
It's hide
she's.
and seek.
Yeah.
Hide and seek. Yep.
I like how Dewey's theme has, like, a Western feel to it.
Yeah, for sure. I forget somebody said recently, and I forget where I saw it, that Dewey's theme is actually from another movie.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I'm gonna say I didn't notice that my mic was on mute. Paul was saying I think that was Mrs. Loomis who killed the cop. Mickey had to be at the theater before Sydney arrived. Not really, because you got to think when the cops were killed, whoever the Ghostface was, they were a part of that car accident. And when Mickey unmasks himself, you see the bruise from that car accident, and he says, "You're fast, Sid." Which means he was chasing after her to the theater. Mrs. Loomis was already at the theater when Gail runs out after seeing Cotton in the hallway.
Yeah.
So it had to be Mickey to be the one to attack the cops, Sydney and Hallie.
Yeah, I agree. Like, it had to be Mickey, because Mickey had a bruise on the forehead, and he said that line, which was pretty much a dead giveaway that he was the one that was responsible for the cops' murders and driving the car and all that.
Yep.
So it makes sense. Yeah, it was Mickey. But the question is too, like, Do they wear? Do they have their own individual Ghostface costumes?
Well, I would like to think so, especially if they have to be in the same place at one time. You know what I mean? Like if they have to be attacking people at the same, in the same moments, just, and obviously different areas or whatever, they would both have to have their own costumes because, one can't just roll without a costume.
Yeah.
Also, from what we know, in Scream 6, Ethan has Mrs. Loomis's mask. And basically, I would like to assume her gown or whatnot. And they don't imply that Mickey's DNA was on that mask. They don't imply that at all. They strictly say that this is Mrs. Loomis's mask. So Mickey had to have his own costume, especially when attacking the police.
Right.
Especially if Mrs. Loomis is, which I believe she was, the one who stabbed Dewey in the theater. Obviously, she was in costume before we see her outside talking to Mickey on the phone, on the payphone at that. Or at least I think it was a payphone, or it could have been the phone from her van. We'll see when we get to the part. Two. I will say this is that you wouldn't. I don't blame you for feeling like it may have been Mrs. Loomis to attack the cops as well, because when you look at both killers, they're both left-handed. The way they kill, they stab with the left hand. In multiple scenes in this movie, even though we know one scene is Mickey killing and the other is Mrs. Loomis killing, they both seem to stab with their left hand. Now, I don't know if that's just a stunt man, how, that's how, his dominant hand or whatnot. But it seems like if we're playing into both characters and breaking down which kills they did, they both are left-handed. So it wouldn't be crazy to assume that one of them was just doing the killing while the other wasn't, so to speak.
Yeah. Out the car, fucker.
Oh, I always love that part with that cop. Get out of the car, you fucker. Oh, I loved it when they pinned Cotton up against the wall, and he's like, "Put your hands above your head. Shut the fuck up." That's literally like a classic aggressive cop for you, and I appreciate. Like deaths in the sunk into to the car, or like into the windshield and shit. Like, ugh, that's just disgusting.
That could be a Final Destination death right there.
Yeah, it kind of could be. If you ask me, that was one of this scene with the cop, his face being sucked in like that. That's one of the more gruesome murder scenes that we've seen in a Scream movie, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Great practicals too.
Yep.
Man, and this part right here is so fucking intense. One of the most intense parts in a Scream movie ever. Where she's trying to get past him to get out of the window, like, oh, you're wondering, is this motherfucker going to get up and snatch her up or stab her or whatever?
Yeah.
Like, I remember being a kid in the theater. Like, I'm taking myself back there right now. and just remembering seeing this, and I'm like, no, Sydney, no. Just like Hallie said, don't do that again. Like she honked a horn by accident. Like that could have woke him up.
Yep.
But if I'm being honest, I think Mickey was already conscious and awake when Sydney is exiting out of the window. I think he just waited until they both got out of the car so that he could basically kind of trick them into think they have, they've gotten away or a head start or whatever. And then that gave him enough time to somehow miraculously get out of the car without them even noticing.
Yeah, that's true. Because I think Mickey would have struggled if he was trying to stab him in the car. Because
I
you could have
agree.
snatched her. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying I agree with that.
Yeah.
And plus, it could have led to him being unmasked right there.
Yeah.
And this is when Sydney has her Laurie Strode-esque type moment. Like, I'm tired of running. I want to know who it is. I'm tired of being fearful of these people. Yeah, like she's on. So you see Mrs. Loomis is on the payphone. And when you hear her dialogue as Gail's getting closer, she says, campus lockdown or something is in full effect or some shit like that.
So she was warning Mickey?
No, she was letting Mickey know the curfew is in full effect.
Yeah, I didn't catch that.
And also, if you listen really closely, that was like the first real time you heard Debbie Salt / Mrs. Loomis kind of speaking in an aggressive tone that we have not heard her speaking throughout the whole movie. She's like really like curfew in full effect. Like that's how like she is really aggressive on the phone. So that right there, in my opinion, when you go back and rewatch it, especially like as an adult, as a parent compared to being a kid, that right there, you can even say, okay, that was a giveaway for her being a killer. Plus, you add in the fact that she's literally there at the theater. You know what I mean? And we just seen Ghostface on the opposite side of town or whatever attacking the cops. killing the cops and killing Hallie. Curfew, Paula. She said curfew in full effect when she was on the phone with Mickey. DJ saying, so in this movie, could there be any improvements to the movie to heighten the franchise in later movies, aka Scream 7? I mean, the only real improvements, in my opinion, that you could do or to add to kind of elevate Scream 2 even more is if you reveal that Stu is alive and that he's in this movie behind the scenes, not actively killing, but he basically is in cahoots with Mickey and Mrs. Loomis. Like, he's the one to go to Mrs. Loomis and basically find her and tell her, like, you have to kill Sydney because she's the one who killed your son. Her mother took your husband from you, so on and so forth. Like, Stu is the motivating factor outside of Billy getting killed by Sydney as to why Mrs. Loomis decided to resort to murder and come after Sydney. Stu could easily be that driving force. And by announcing that he was in Scream 2 in the background at the frat party with the blonde hair in disguise, that would only elevate this movie even more to what it already is. I think it's one of the best horror movie sequels made. You know, I think Scream 2 is really solid. You know what I mean? And stuff. I know a lot of people don't agree with that. There's a lot of people in the Scream fandom who do not really like Scream 2. I beg to differ. So, in my opinion, having Stu revealed as a part of this killing spree just in the background, but being the reason why Mrs. Loomis basically did what she did by seeking out Mickey, seeking out somebody in a partner to help her that was already a serial killer. That was because Stu got to her and found her and basically put the battery in her back to go through with this.
Yeah, this is
That
sad
would be
because
cool,
like she's
DJ.
traumatized.
Like, especially like if we get like a flashback to that scene where Mrs. Loomis is on the phone and she's saying curfew in full effect. If that's Stu on the other end as opposed to Mickey, yeah, that would be cool. I'd be cool with that. And this is just heartbreaking, man. Mickey did such a good job at playing into Sydney's mind in regards to her doubting Derek by basically saying that Derek is his partner when he wasn't. And it's fucking heartbreaking because Derek gets killed and tells Sydney he never would have hurt her. It's heartbreaking, man.
Yeah, because he messes with her psychology, man. Her psychic.
Like even Mickey even says that to her, like you need to deal with your trust issues. Like he was totally innocent.
Yeah. Mickey's the sick fucker wants to get caught. Yeah.
This right here is where Mickey fucked up with Miss Loomis when he started speaking of Billy and basically said Billy was a sick fuck who wanted to get caught. Mickey, no, who wanted to get away with it. Mickey is a sick fuck who wants to get caught. Like the moment he start talking about Billy in somewhat of an ill-mannered way, in my opinion, that's when Mrs. Loomis, I think she was already going to turn her back on him, but that is what solidified it. Because in so many ways, in that moment and in that dialogue, Mickey is so many ways saying that he's going to be remembered more and be a better killer than what Billy was. Because he wants to get caught, which is going to bring all the national media attention on him.
Right.
Getting one thing about Billy Loomis. What's that? I fucking killed him. Piece of shit.
Shit.
Like, see, this is what I'm talking about. Like, she beat the shit out of him. Boop, elbow to the shoulder. Oops, right cross to the jaw. Pull him into the fucking statue. Boom. Like, she pulled out the whole striking arsenal in this motherfucker, man. The only thing she was missing was a kick. Like a wheelhouse kick. A roundhouse. Like, that's Thomas. What? Billy's mother.
Didn't see that coming, did you?
About 60 pounds and then a lot of work later.
It's called a makeover. You should try it, Gail.
And also, when you think about the idea that Scream 5, we all believe that Stu started the stab subreddit. Who's to say that Stu didn't implore Mrs. Loomis to look on the internet for her partner in regards to being looking up serial killers online, or people who were basically on the internet expressing the urge to want to be this type of person, like. Poor boy was completely out of his mind.
Bro, she plays crazy good.
Yes, she does. Laurie Metcalf is awesome as a crazy person. And you would never have thought it because you never seen her play this type of role up until this point. You were so used to seeing her in like wholesome family type of shows, like, Roseanne and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Which is why I think making her a killer and portraying her the way she was portrayed throughout the movie as just a reporter who kind of wants to rival Gale, it was a perfect alias.
Right.
And the fact that she had gotten a makeover, lost a lot of weight. So even though she was in plain sight of Gale, not Sydney, Gale had seen photos of her before and still couldn't recognize her. You know what I mean? So it was brilliant.
Isn't Mickey supposed to be dead?
Right? Guide him and to abandon him. Man. And one thing about Scream 2 compared to the original, what they at least did right with one of the killers is that they had one of the killers unmasked, like out of the costume. Even though Mrs. Loomis didn't, she was revealed without the costume on, at least we got Mickey.
Right. That's true, because then
Yo, what up, Chris? Thank you for stopping in, man, in this, this late night, early morning hour. It's good to see you. Chris Sims saying fresh off work, tapping in. Hi, guys. What's going on? We're just finishing up Scream 2. We are basically in the final 15 minutes. So if you just want to pop it on and watch the final 15 minutes, or if you want to wait to the end of the stream and restart it and watch the replay, whatever you want to do, brother, have at it.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Oh, man. You gotta give it to Mrs. Loomis though too. When that adrenaline kicked in, that gave her an extra ounce of toughness. Like she took not to be denied to a new level. Like shit, she wasn't gonna give up. And here comes my boy Cotton to save the day. Don't you fucking move. I love it. I love it. Oh, man. A very bad day. And I'd like to know exactly what the fuck is going on here. Me? What? Who's that? Shut up. I love it because like Cotton is having his moment right now where he is in control and he can decide the fate of Sydney in so many ways.
Oh, yeah.
Nice. Chris Sims saying all good, bro. Scream 2 is my favorite of all the Screams on and scariest in my opinion. Hey, that's what's up, man. I definitely think it's one of the best sequels in horror movie history, in my opinion. Like, in terms of following up to an iconic first film, this is definitely up there, man. And it had, in my opinion, the most iconic, intense chase scene in the entire franchise, with Gale being chased in the theater.
Yeah. That Diane Sawyer interview is looking pretty good right now.
Just fucking Mrs. Loomis's smile on her face, like, yeah, sounds good, right, Cotton?
Consider it done.
Yep. And you gotta give Cotton credit too, because he's a good shot.
Mm-hmm.
That was a tight ass window to get a shot on Mrs. Loomis, and he got it in there.
Yeah, because she could have slit her throat right there and then.
Well, not even just that, he could have missed and still hit Sydney.
Mm-hmm.
See, and I love it too because then you have Cotton being like this, like fucking kind of like gentle ass giant, like, you know, Sydney, I never would have hurt you. Like, you know, after just fucking completely owning the room for like the last 3 minutes.
I guess.
And then his reaction to Gail. Oh, that's gold. Oh, shit. Fucking Cotton. See, man, this is why he should have never died in fucking Scream 3, man. Like, he is such a good character. We needed more of Cotton.
Yeah.
I'll
He was a
even
good
say
character.
this. If you were going to kill Cotton in Scream 3, and let's say after Scream 3, they knew they were still going to make some more Scream movies, even if it would have took a few years, you know what I mean, off. How you could have originally did a cliffhanger to lead into the next film is you kill Cotton, you have him live throughout Scream 3, but then at the end, while he's just getting done filming an episode of 100% Cotton, he gets killed at the studio on his set of his show.
Mm-hmm.
And that could have led us into Scream 4. I just want to see more. I wanted to see more of the character. I did not like how they just killed him off after giving him such a great arc in this movie, in my opinion.
Right.
And my boy Joel coming back for Gail. My boy said, listen, the murders are over now. Y'all done found out who the killers are. I come back now.
It's like, I'm ready now.
Yeah, like, fuck. I know the killers are dead, so we good. And then hearing Dewey, where's Gail? Like,
Mm-hmm.
Gail. I love it.
Hmm.
Where's Gail? That just comes to show, like, again, how much of a great character and a great human being that Dewey was. This man, once again, damn near is on the brink of death, and all you hear him worrying about is where's Gail?
Yeah.
And then a great gesture by Sydney as well, you know, to give Cotton, you know, what he deserved, which was, you know, his just due for not only saving the day, you know what I mean, and saving her life in this moment, but to make up for her wrongfully accusing him.
Mm-hmm.
It was a great ending. I will say this. It was a great ending for Sydney and Cotton's story since Cotton got killed at the beginning of Scream 3, and we don't see them on screen together in Scream 3. So in regards to Sydney and Cotton's story, this ending and that dialogue from her, like, talk to Cotton. You know, he's the one you want to interview. He's the real hero. Perfect way to tie that storyline and that rivalry between Cotton and Sydney into a perfect little bow. It really was.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that is it, y'all. We went 2 for 2 tonight. I did not expect this, but hey, I am not mad about it at all. You know, this was definitely a great time. So, before we do head out, Dom, is there anything, excuse me, in Scream 2 that you would want to see be brought to light in Scream 7? Like, what would you want if Scream 7 is going to refresh anything from Scream 2 or tell us something new that we didn't know in Scream 2? What would that be?
I would say the phone call with Mrs. Loomis.
Okay.
She's actually talking to Stu instead of Mickey.
Nice.
And also, I would love to see the reveal of showing Stu at the party, at the Omega Beta Zeta party, whatever it's called,
Mm-hmm.
and he has a different look to him, but we see scars on his face
Right.
and stuff. And then he's talking to someone. He's like, "What happened to you?" It's like, I guess you can say I got in sort of a cable accident or something like that. Something he can say something smart, like funny or something like that. And we see him like plotting at the party and he puts on the costume and he's the one who attacks Sydney at the party. You know,
Right.
maybe he does do that. You know. Um, Also, another thing too is I want to see like the ins and outs. They probably won't do it, but I like to see like how they set up like the kill scene for the opening of this movie. Like how did Mickey, Stu, and Mrs. Loomis plotted their massacre at the Windsor College? You know, how did
Got you.
that start? You know.
Got you.
So yeah,
Yeah.
that's my thoughts on that.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with that, man. I wouldn't mind seeing that. I think obviously, I'm on the same page with you in regards to revealing that Stu was around and that was him actually at the frat party. I would like to see maybe a flashback before the murders take place to where we see Stu finding Mrs. Loomis and approaching her and basically, kind of like telling her, like, look, you know, this woman in Sydney, not only did she kill your son, but it started with her mother taking your husband from you and breaking up your family. You have to be the one to finish this. You know what I mean? So to speak. I would love to see something like that. I would also, in regards to the phone call with Randy, I would like them to refresh that and make it be Stu as the one calling him because of Stu knowing about Randy's obsession of wanting to be Sydney's boyfriend. I think that would be a fantastic nod to the first film with Randy having those conversations with him.
Yeah.
So, man, it's approaching fast. We got a ways to go, but it's going to be approaching fast. Think about it. We're already about to be in June. You know what I mean? Before we know it, football season's going to start. And once football season starts, the rest of the way to get to Scream 7 is only going to go faster, in my opinion. So,
Oh yeah.
let's just hope if they do decide to bring Stu Macher back, and they are going to do a deep dive explanation as to how he survived and what he has been up to all these years. Hopefully they tie in all the other killing sprees and have him be a part of it in some shape, way, or form. Even if he wasn't doing the killing himself, he was basically in so many ways like this is the start of his mastermind arc. You know what I mean? This is the start of it. 2, 3, working with Roman. And then after 3, working with Roman, he's now like the official like mastermind. You know what I mean? And over the course from Scream 4, where you could have Charlie and Jill kind of be like the first official members of Stu's cult, especially when you consider the fact that the Woodsboro Cinema Club was supposed to be the cult of Ghostface in the original plans for Scream 3. And then obviously Richie Kirsch and Amber in the Stab subreddit in Scream 5. Whether you want to add the Baileys into that, I'm not saying that's a problem. I could definitely see that to a degree. You know what I mean? So one way or another, he ties in, or he doesn't tie into the Baileys, but he was still in Scream 6 because he was the Ghostface who attacked Gail. You know what I mean? Because I will never believe that it was Quinn. As much as I love Quinn and I think she has so much untapped potential that we will never get to see explored, it was not her to attack Gail. That was Stu Macher. So in regards to him actually having like a connection or an interaction with the Bailey family. I personally don't see that happening. I think, and I think about it this way: they kind of played into that aspect that we could have multiple Ghostface killers trying to kill the same victim, but not working together. They did that with the Bailey family and the Jason Carvey and Greg Bruckner. So it's not far fetched to think that Stu, much like Greg and Jason, was operating alone outside of the Bailey family. So
Right.
as long as we get this guy to come back and it ties into everything and it makes a lot of sense, I'm all here for it.
Yeah.
But guys, we are going. I'm about to say, you got anything else you want to say, Dom, before we head out?
Yeah. I was thinking like it definitely had to be Stu because the way Ghostface looked, he looked taller, especially when he was taking out the guy in the background
Mm-hmm.
in her apartment, and it's like you're telling me like Quinn, like she did that, like that's like that sparks like very interesting questions, like it definitely questions like the whole entire like thing about does she really have the ability to take down a grown man like that? You know what I'm saying?
We
Like,
need to toss this motherfucker through a wall. Like,
yeah,
yeah, I'm just not buying it. I'm sorry. You know what I mean? It's just nah. No, 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 no. I will say, in terms of like the height of Ghostface, it really don't matter because Max Lafreniere is like 5'10". You know what I mean? And he was the one who was underneath the Ghostface costume
mm-hmm.
or whatever while attacking Gale. However, and I asked this question to him when he was on Steven's stream a couple years ago. I sent in a super chat and I asked him, was it your idea or was it by the director's direction for you to clutch both hands on the knife and come down with it as if like Stu Macher used to do like Stu Macher did in the original film? And he said that he was directed to do that, which tells me that that is a direct nod to Stu Macher being the one to attack Gale Weathers. And when you add in the fact that in Scream 6, in the original draft for that chase scene, a lot of stuff that was supposed to happen in terms of the physical part in that chase scene was literally identical to Sidney and Stu's fight scene in Scream 1. So, again, I definitely do think that Stu, in regards to Gale in Scream 6, he was the one to attack her. And I think it would be cool if they tie him in throughout the entire franchise completely. I think it can be done. Kevin Williamson is in the director's chair. Guy Busick is writing. He's a big Stu Macher fan. And I'm sure Kevin Williamson is, playing that angel on his shoulder, helping him fix certain little things and this and that to tie it in and make it make sense. And I'm confident that we are going to see something like that in Scream 7 and possibly even in Scream 8. And it's going to be fucking epic. And I really hope that's the direction they go in.
Absolutely.
Real quick, I want to catch up the rest of these comments before we head out. Chris Sims saying, right, it is a great follow-up, and they had stakes like Randy being taken out. Absolutely. Plus, Timothy Oliphant as Mickey is a great casting. Absolutely. No doubt about it. He's definitely a great actor. DJ saying, is this the only Scream that Dewey and Gale were injured at the same time? No, because Scream 1, remember, they were injured. Remember, Billy knocked out Gale after, she had, Dewey got stabbed first, then Gale crashed the van, and then she came in to save the day, but the safety was on the gun. So Billy knocked her out, and then basically her and Dewey were laid together, knocked out on the front porch. So no, that's not the first time that they were injured at the same time together. Or in the same movie. I agree, Paula. That's another thing, too. Scream 2 also, just like the first one, great score, great soundtrack. And also great ending as well. DJ saying tie in flashbacks of Stu being on Scream 2 and how he was instrumental and tie it to Scream 3, 4, 5, 6 into 7. Yes, I agree. Absolutely. Think a lot of us want to see that. Paula saying, I would love to see flashback to the college graduation. That would be a nice, like, kind of like little settle moment to watch for Sydney. Sure. I also want to see a flashback to when Sydney first met Derek. That would be cool. I mean, I personally wouldn't be against it. I just don't know in regards to like with Sydney's husband in Scream 7 if they would make that relevant, you know? Excuse me. Unless Ghostface were to do an AI version of Derek and toy with Sydney. You know what I mean? That would be nuts, you know. That'd be crazy. And then maybe seeing Derek in AI form does jog Sydney's memory to where they first met, and we get, you know, a little flashback of something like that.
Oh yeah.
DJ said instead of Billy's mother killing off Randy, it should have been Stu for Randy, still chasing Sydney, aka jealous. No, I agree. I mean, I don't mind it being Mrs. Loomis because of what Randy said about Billy. But in regards to the phone call with the Ghostface saying you'll never be the hero and you'll never ever get the girl, I do think that Stu fits more to kill Randy because he knew how much Randy wanted to be Sydney's boyfriend. I wonder if Paul is saying, I wonder if Mickey was a part of Stu's cult. That would be an interesting twist. Hey, possibly. I mean, maybe like, you know, like I said, Stu is who led Mrs. Loomis to Mickey to find him on that site. It's possible.
You know that site can be transferred into the modern day as the Reddit, right? It could be transferred from that website where you meet serial killers and then transform it into a Ghostface cult site.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, basically, it can be rebranded to the Stab subreddit. Yeah, change the name and everything behind the handle. Yeah, absolutely. It's just like, and I'm never going to do it because this is my brand and this is what I love to call the channel. But if I wanted to take away the I Shot Him 6 Times channel name and give a new channel name, I could do that, you know, and stuff like that. So great point that you just made there, Dom, in regards to changing the platform name and stuff like that, like hinting at that and stuff. Like it definitely could happen.
Yeah.
The Stab subreddit could be the serial killer site that Mrs. Loomis found Mickey on. Stu just happens to run it.
Yeah.
Yes, DJ, I do. So if you want to leave a comment after the stream, it is greatly appreciated. And plus, it helps boost the algorithm as well. So definitely, if you want to leave a comment, if you have something you want to say after the stream that I can't get to here right now, definitely. And I will reply as soon as I can, most likely in the morning when I wake up here in a few short hours. Paul is saying, cool. Yup. Mickey was already an active serial killer. Stu would love that. See, exactly. Yes, absolutely. Chris, my IG is desaved. I Shot Him 6 Times. You can actually go on my channel description, like check out my channel, like bio, my info, and my link will be right there in the description. And if it isn't for some reason, because sometimes YouTube does kind of lag out and don't display stuff, you can go into one of my latest videos or whatever. I think the I Know What You Did Last Summer live stream and my previous videos that I just did, check the description and my IG link will be right there. Because I usually put my IG links in the description. I just didn't do it for this one because this was kind of an on-the-spot, on-the-fly call. DJ saying, remember Stu was elated that school was canceled due to the murders as well as to this movie during the phone booth call. Yeah, that's a really good point, DJ. Yeah, sure. You know, especially that ties in, you know, with Mrs. Loomis, you know, letting him know curfew is in full effect. meaning that shit is on lockdown. We have the time that we need to make this happen and try to make a run for it. Yeah. Yep. Chris saying, I think I just found you. I see you follow I Like Scary like me as well. Thanks, man. Yeah, no doubt. Yep, that would be me. Yep. Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Yeah. I Like
Well,
Scary,
guys,
man. Yeah.
this was definitely a lot of fun. I do want to plug this in before I go because I said it at the beginning of the stream and I just kind of refresh it. I am going to have to redo the Halloween live stream, like recreate it, because I unfortunately accidentally pressed live on that live stream as opposed to this one when trying to come in and start this live stream here. So I'm going to have to replenish that. So guys, keep your notifications on. Saturday at 3:00 Eastern time in the afternoon, I will be going live for about maybe an hour, maybe a little bit more depending on, how the stream is going and stuff. But I will be talking about some Halloween theories in regards to the TV show, what I want to see, asking you guys what you would like to see for the upcoming Halloween TV series. What story do you want them to tell? What characters do you want to focus on? We're going to have a big Halloween discussion on Saturday because it has been a long time since I talked about some Mikey fucking Myers here on the channel. And if I'm being quite honest, I got blue balls and I need to release that tension. So guys, this was a lot of fun. Keep your notifications on. Not only do I have the live stream coming for Saturday, I do have my Halloween related video that I've been talking about all week coming out tomorrow. I also will be having my Scream 7 Dewey theory coming out tomorrow. And I am also finally going to be getting to my movie review for Hurry Up Tomorrow. I am sure you guys have been seeing the plastering of negativity surrounding that fucking movie all week. And I'm here to tell you guys that it is not that bad. And I'm going to do a deep breakdown as to why it is not that bad, especially when you look at it from what the character is, who he is, and the music that inspires the movie and the story that the character in The Weeknd is trying to tell. If you guys haven't seen it already going across the internet, it's garnered a ton of negativity. But I will personally say this before we head off. A lot of that negativity for that movie is from people who don't understand the Weeknd character and the story that he has been telling through his last 3 albums leading into this movie. So guys, stay tuned for all that. Tomorrow is going to be a busy day for me. You're going to see my algorithm juking for sure. So guys, enjoy the rest of your night. Get some sleep. This was definitely a fun time. Thank you, Dom, for coming on here and hanging out with me for Scream 2. I will see you backstage, buddy. And hey, like the man Stu Mocker likes to say, we will be right back. Enjoy the rest of your night, everybody. Get some rest. I'll catch y'all later.
Peace.
You are now watching Shot in 6 Times YouTube or movie channel.
I shot him 6 times.